Hello, and welcome. Welcome to the Fit Over 40 Challenge Show, the number one health and fitness show for those of us in the club. That's right, the 40 and Over Club. My name is Coach Dave. I'm going to be your coach today. Super excited to bring you another episode of the Fit Over 40 Challenge Show. And today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to get a little bit, more personal or just open up a little bit about being a dad and what I've learned since becoming a dad in terms of my fitness, my health, and what it means to me. So hopefully those of you that are listening to this are parents and it's going to resonate with you. And if not, then you will get a little taste of what it's like to be a parent as well as to be over 40. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of get started and talk to you today a little bit about some of the things. And originally I was going to say two things that I learned from, being a dad and being over 40. But the thing is that it might be a little bit longer than that if I start rambling. You know how sometimes I can get. But I'll try to keep it concise and to the point and just kind of share with you a little bit. But I wanted to kind of backtrack just a little bit and talk about before I became a dad, kind of where I was at. Obviously, my wife and I had been married for several years and life was completely different. We would pretty much have whatever time we wanted to ourselves after we finished our work. Now, I still did work, obviously, in the fitness industry. I taught spin. I did some personal training, coach, and did some management as well. But on the weekends, we would go work out. We belonged to a gym. We'd work out at the gym I was working out. But there wasn't really any issue of time and availability to really work out. It really came down to whether or not we made it a priority. But we did. Fitness has been a big part of my life. It's been a big part of my wife's life. And we made it a priority. I don't know if I say it meant as much to me back then. I mean, obviously, being younger, early 30s, late 20s, early 30s when we got married, it didn't really affect us that much in terms of, we didn't eat very good, but we also didn't really gain that much weight. Our metabolisms were much different, and we could still kind of absorb, I guess, those extra additional calories by getting extra workouts in. So let's kind of move forward. I had my first child early 30s, and things changed. And, one of the things that after becoming a dad and when it comes to being fit, I learned that time is important. And not that time's never important, but it really becomes a priority. Opportunities sometimes will start to diminish in terms of what you have available for you to actually get time in for yourself. And I know moms know this, and sometimes moms will have a tendency to, not put themselves first. They sacrifice themselves first for the kids. And so time really becomes an issue because they're spending the majority of their time providing for their family and for their kids. But it's not any different for dads. It's sometimes in a different way. And, when you're in a family that both parents work, as my wife and I both do, then time really becomes an issue when you have a child because if the gym doesn't have childcare, someone's got to watch the child while, others, while the other one goes and works out and does stuff. So time is a big factor, and it wasn't something that I really even thought about when we first had our child, I should say. When we first had, I didn't think that time was going to be that big of an issue in the sense that you really need to prioritize your time because there's going to be times that you're not going to have the flexibility in your schedule to just go work out. And so what I learned was that when we had our first child, we still had a lot of opportunities to, one person would watch and the other one would go work out. And here's the other thing, probably from the very first house we bought, which is now about 20 some odd years ago, we've always had some sort of exercise equipment in the house. I guess it does help the fact that, I kind of am able to create programs for us to do and stuff like that. So we can do stuff from the house and get workouts in. But we also did have an opportunity to go to the gym. The facility I was working at actually had childcare available, so we would book that, and the two of us still got to work out. Now, fast forward to having a second child, and things changed even more. They're not too far apart, our kids, but clearly they start to take over different needs and different times. And now as they're getting older, it's even more different. A lot of the sporting events, they're two different athletes that do two different events. And that in itself is challenging. So you have to make time a priority. And so what I'm really saying is that you need to schedule your workout. It has to become a priority because time isn't going to always allow you to have the opportunity to do it whenever you want. Because trust me, as you have kids and they get older, their schedules kind of take over your schedule. So making sure that time and your scheduling, I've said this before, you need to plan ahead. You need to schedule your workouts. Right now, my wife and I go back and forth. She's like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and schedule this workout. Can you pick up Caitlin? Or, hey, I'm going to work out first thing. Then you can drop Addie off. I'll take her back home with me or whatever. So we're constantly looking at our schedules, typically a couple of days, a week in advance, and scheduling it out. So time was the biggest thing that I think that I learned right off the bat for becoming a dad and realizing that, I'm not going to have, 2-3 hours to go work out at the gym, go sit in the sauna, sit in the steam room, all that stuff. So I had to get it in, get it done, be efficient, and continue to move on. So that's one thing that I learned. The second thing that I learned, and I've written about this before in terms of my book and stuff, but the whole premise behind my why. And when when you're not a parent, I mean, obviously your health is important to you, and your family is important to you. You might have a significant other, spouse, and they're important to you. But the fact that you have a child or you have multiple kids really changes the game, or at least it did for me. Because I mentioned to you before, my dad passed away at 67 from a heart attack. And, I've also said this before, I know that nobody knows when it's going to be their time. I mean, clearly, things happen and stuff like that. But if I'm going to at least be intentional and know that for the time that I'm here, I want to make sure that my health is a priority, that I'm going to do the best I can to keep my temple healthy. And so that if I do have that opportunity to continue to grow old and live a long life, I want it to be quality. So my why really changed when I have a kid, because I want to grow old and I want to be able to be with my family. I want to be able to be active. I don't want them to have to take care of me and always worry about, oh, well, dad can't do this, dad can't do that because, of this condition or that condition. And I say this because I understand that clearly, sicknesses and illnesses happen to everybody. I'm very fortunate, very blessed that I don't have anything at this point in my life that's done anything, to be serious. But some of the illnesses are brought on because of our lack of lifestyle changes and our lack of prioritizing fitness and health. So the last thing I want to do is give that up. I don't want that to be something that I just didn't do for the sake of, well, it just wasn't a priority for me. So my why really changed once I had kids. And the other thing is that I really honestly believe that as a dad, as a parent, it's my responsibility to lead by example. Now, am I perfect? Absolutely not. Um, there's lots of things that I can do to change, and I have changed some of my lifestyle habits and stuff like that throughout the years. I remember when I was drinking a diet Dr. Pepper a day, and the kids started getting older, and they wanted one. They're like, "But Dad, you're drinking one," and so I stopped. And there's lots of other things that I probably still could work on and become better. But the thing is that leading by example is important as a dad, as a parent, and that's one thing that, to go with the whole premise behind my why is that because I want to be fit and healthy and live a long lifestyle, but I also want to teach my kids that same concept, that same attitude of, putting health and fitness as a priority and taking care of the body that we've been given to you. Because if you are granted the opportunity to live a long life, hopefully it's a long quality life. So those are two big things that I've learned. I'd love to hear, what you've learned, if you're a parent and, you're working out, what's your why? What are the what are 2, 3 things, however many things, hit me up, share it. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Hashtag it Fit Over40 Challenge. And I'd love to just hear from you. What is the things that you learned as a parent that makes you, really appreciate being fit and being healthy and wanting to become, a better person in terms of your health and your wellness. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I do appreciate all the reviews and comments and stuff like that. As I said before, that always helps. So I appreciate that. If you know of any parents that needs to hear this, just to hear the fact that, hey, things are going to change. Things are going to be different. New parents, share it with them. And like I said, I hope this kind of just resonates with you. I wanted to share a little bit of insight to you what I've learned as becoming a dad at the age of 40. Well, I was dad before 40, but the two things I've learned when becoming a dad and how it's affected my fitness and lifestyle. So, all right, I will go ahead and sign off. Until the next time, this is Coach Dave.